A very good morning to you. The weekend edition of the program right here on Channels Television, July the 11th. I'm Jeffrey Usam. As always, they're here.
And I refuse to get angry this morning because somebody didn't send me the memo. But it's okay. Maybe they'll get a proper reprimand before the end of the show. The best mornings, of course, are made of the morning brief. And the morning brief make you the best mornings. Welcome. I am Bukola Koka. Hi, guys.
I'm Kayode Okikiru, by the way. But what memo are you talking about?
The memo of the navy blue.
But there's some sort of navy blue on you right now.
Well,
A touch of blue.
So you got the memo.
It's a sprinkle of blue.
not the full memo.
Not the
it's
full.
okay.
You read some part of
good.
it. You look great, actually,
Thank
Bukola.
you.
It's
Thank you.
Friday, so I really hope we can let our hair down or not, depending on what you wear on your head, and just take a breather.
I will not take that counsel.
Okay. Yeah, I get the point. But what are we tracking, guys?
So what exactly is going on?
Quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, so I think the latest bombshell, if you will, unless it's has to be the comment by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, as to raising the questions of what is going on between the relationship between him and the President, given the fact that there has been rumor about the disagreement in that sense. Well, nothing public has, the presidency has always denied that. In fact, that came to the issue in Gombe, actually, that's the state, where some members of the APC were insisting that he has to be the running mate of President Bola Tinubu come 2027. Well, the APC has constantly dismissed all of this. But yesterday, at the book launch of Mohammed Bello Adoke, former AGF, on OPL 245, when he wrote that book, which had in attendance several persons, including current leaders and former leaders, and then the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, was to chair that occasion. Well, while he was giving his remarks, this is what the vice president had to say about what he said was being muted by the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, contemplating to remove him while that incident happened during his time when he was seen to be more like the most hated governor because of issues around Boko Haram and all of that. But he said the people in government then, including Mohammed Bello Adoke, advised the president against such thing, that he doesn't even have the powers to remove a local government councillor. Take a listen to the vice president.
Certain decisions are taken in a very rare peace cycle. The president, the vice president, the Senate president, and the speaker of the House of Representatives. At one of such conclaves, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan GCFR, with whom we have shared the sword and have now recalibrated our relationship, was mooting the idea of removing this Borno governor, and Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, had the courage to tell the President that, Your Excellency, you don't have the power to remove an elected councillor. The President was still not convinced. He mooted the idea at the Federal Executive Council. I admire Mr. Mohammed Bello Adoke fundamentally for his courage and for his convictions and for his capacity to stand for what he believes in. He told the then president that, Mr. President, you do not have the power to remove a sitting.
So guys, what do you think?
It screams irony, the irony of because March 18th, just how many weeks ago, President Bola Tinubu, by the way, if you go back to 2013, you know, when President Goodluck Jonathan declared state of emergency in those 3 states, that was where it ended. In 2014, when the Chibok girls were abducted, which I imagine that's what the Vice President is referring to, that option was on the table, President Goodluck Jonathan did not take any of such decisions. He got quality advice and he stood by it. So now that the Vice President is publicly saying and quoting in quote that, Mr. President, you cannot remove, not just even a councillor, you cannot remove. It begs the question, is he now publicly distancing himself from President Bola Tinubu's decision to suspend the governor of Rivers State and the legislatures? Is this him doing that publicly? Is there a bigger rift brewing? Is there fire on the mountain, or as they say, fire on the rock, the Aso Rock Villa? Because this screams the irony. It screams irony in its entirety. And that, for me, was what I heard yesterday. I don't know about you.
Absolutely. So you talked about the issue around the conclave. Bukola, let me have your take first.
Well, I'd like to look at it from two prisms. Your questions are valid, Kadi, but is the Vice President just honestly speaking to the value of democracy without necessarily referring to River State? Is he honestly in the innocence and purity of his mind, commending former Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Bello Adoke, for upholding the values of democracy when he was in office during the time of former President Goodluck Jonathan? Well, but then again, if the House were in order within the presidency and in the All Progressives Congress, of course, we know what has happened in River State. Would family members come out in the open, to talk about, even subtly so, problems within the House? Of course, we know what happened in Gombe State when the endorsement came through for Mr. President for 2027, and the name of the Vice President was not mentioned. And, weeks after that, at a public event, when the former Vice President was said to have snubbed the former national chairman of the party. Of course, later on, they eventually had a handshake, but there was an initial snub. So, there are cracks in the wall already. And speaking of the two prisms, what does this say about the future of relations between the President, Bola Tinubu, and his vice, Kashim Shettima? The last time there were frosty relations between the President and the vice, I believe, was during former President Olusegun Obasanjo and his deputy, Atiku Abubakar, at the time, when there was a, seeming political war of attrition, of course, created by the Vice President, when the President, lost confidence in him and openly criticized him. The Vice President was reported to have led governors against him at that time, and, the presidential primary, President Obasanjo would have been sacrificed. His political future would have been sacrificed following that significant event by his deputy. And of course, on the second hand, many have said that if you look at the political history of our current president, he always seems to fall out with his deputy. When you recall Akerele Bokna and Femi Pedro, and this is not new as far as his politicking is concerned. But then again, when you have two strong characters as president and vice, or as governor, because we know that governors and their deputies have fallen out in the past, does this always happen? Shouldn't we necessarily, single out President Bola Tinubu for his own unique political history with his deputies? But this is a departure from the last decade or so in our democracy, and I'm quite keen on what relations will be with Mr. President and Vice President Kashim Shettima in the future, especially ahead of 2027. How the presidency will respond to this, of course, will give us more talking points in the coming days.
It's interesting to see, just to see how this plays out eventually. We have always maintained that in the Constitution, there's nothing that gives the president the power to remove elected officials, not even suspend the elected official. There are like 5 ways: either the governor dies, or he resigns, or he's impeached, or he's removed by a court. The laws are quite clear. So discretionary latitude based on Section 305 of the president, does he shift him, does he grant him the powers to do that? the Supreme Court has to make that decision, but from where we sit, we can see what the laws are saying. And well, the Supreme Court has somehow not sat on that decision. I don't know what's going on, because some of us wanted that thing to be decided once and for all in our jurisprudence as far as law is concerned. I think he said other things as well at that forum. The vice president said other things, but we'll leave that for now. Let's go to what the member representing Andoni Opobo Nkoro in Rivers State, Representative Awaji Inombek Abiante, said when he was introducing himself, still talking about issues around state of emergency and Rivers State. Take a listen to him.
Continually, perpetually be marginalized and oppressed. We have a record that is not so pleasant, but we are defenders of the truth. We're not run away from it. The very first state-sponsored kidnap took place in my constituency on the 19th day of September, 1887. That was the kidnap of King Jaja of Opobo aboard the British naval ship by the British colonial government. I represent Andoni Opobo Nkoro Federal Constituency, the only state without a democratic governance as we speak. I come from the state of emergency.
That was a very hilarious soft protest. So people from Rivers State are now from the state of emergency, guys.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what to add to that.
When it was time to vote, did he vote for or against on the floor of the House?
The way it sounded, apparently he did not vote. He may not have showed up.
Did he put out a statement saying, well, I wasn't there, no, but if I was there, this is how I will have voted. I will have voted against it.
I know that he's a strong supporter of the governor. Well, so I don't think he
that didn't come through. We didn't, except you got maybe some people got that statement.
What I know is as a supporter of the governor, for instance, and if he was there, I don't expect him to vote.
It's good to support the governor, but let's support the Constitution as well. I wish the lawmakers who say they're against it now had said, you know what, I wasn't there, or I was coerced or whatever, but I would have voted against the state of emergency.
That was why we wanted that.
The suspension, right?
That's why for us, we need to strengthen our democracy and not politic everything. In America, you can track the record of an individual's conviction based on how he votes. Not like that in Nigeria. I think there's an electronic voting system in that chamber. I can't remember. They're supposed to be, because there was a time they were muting the idea, so that we can trace your history. So that in every election cycle, all I have to do is to go through your history in the National Assembly and say, how did my lawmaker vote on certain issues, especially divisive issues? For instance, if you voted and said, the president has powers, for me, I will not vote for you. You understand? Some people say, no, the president was right, they will vote for you. So it's how it works. But now we can't trace. It was a voice vote, which is also a controversial issue before the Supreme Court. Guys, we have the next one up.
Necessarily not impressed, particularly about this. The advocacy has gone ahead, of what happened in Rivers State following the declaration of a state of emergency. But, it's also interesting as it shows how, indeed, adversity brings out the brilliance in our elected representatives. So perhaps it's not too late to keep the advocacy on for the lifting of suspension of the democratically elected institutions in Rivers State. But of course, that's not all that we have for you this morning. Coyote, you have the next one.
Well, call it another shake-up in the Senate. And once again, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduah finds herself out of a key leadership role. This time, she's been removed as chair of a Senate Committee on Diaspora and NGOs, replaced by Senator Anyeka Bassi of Akwa Ibom. And this announcement came during plenary with the president of the Senate making that announcement. But guess what? This is not the first time this has happened. This year, she's been ousted from a committee position following her earlier removal from the Local Content Committee. Take a listen.
The new chairman of the Senate Committee on Diaspora and NGOs is distinguished Senator Anyeka Bassi, and it will take effect from today. We will make some changes to our vice chairmanship positions next week as a result of the fact that some of the senators have two vice chairmanship positions. In fact, I know of one who has 3. Maybe his name kept coming up, while others do not have. So, leader of the Senate, please assess to make sure everybody is carried along. Every senator should either be a chairman or a vice chairman so that we balance the situation. The new chairman of the Senate Committee on Diaspora and NGOs.
Of the Senate making that announcement. I should say first, when are we going to get the certified true copy of the court's judgment? It takes quite some time, I understand, but I think this will put to rest a lot of the issues, confusion around the judgment, because she doesn't know whether to resume or not. But in the meantime, a lot of things are moving in the Senate. And I recall one of the senators saying, well, we were elected as senators, not as committee chairs. So whether I'm in a committee or not, it doesn't change much. But the Senate president has said that at least every senator should either be the chairman or the vice of a committee. So if she returns, would she get a position as a chair or deputy? Big question.
And it's exactly for that reason that we must question this recent decision to remove her as chairman committee on diaspora. Is it coming on the heels of, you know, what has transpired in the Senate between the senator representing Kogi Central and the Senate president following those allegations of sexual harassment and, of course, the ensuing court judgments, a number of them, perhaps about 3 of them. So we must ask those questions. If that is the case, then there's a big question mark on this decision to remove Senator Natasha Akpotudua as the leader of that chair. And if every senator is entitled to being a chairman or a vice chairman of a committee, then of course we'll be expecting a subsequent appointment befitting of this senator. But so many questions clearly around this particular action of the leadership of the Senate. And it again raises question about the intolerance of the Senate towards dissent.
For me, it's just a simple point I want to raise. First, the president of the Senate and the Senate has the powers to change committees as they will, depending on how their standing rules says. That's on one hand. But I'm worried about the bad optics this is giving the Senate. Sometimes it's not about legality and legalese, it's about morality. Given what has happened between her and the Senate president and all the things that happened, she's not back yet. Perhaps this is preparatory for her coming back and all of that. No matter the intention, no matter how well intended this reshuffling is, everybody, or a lot of people interpret it as vendetta. More like, we're going to deal with you and break you until you're no more. So those are the kinds of optics people in office should look at when they make decisions. Sometimes it's not about law or no law. Around the law, there's a moral burden as well. So we must follow strictly the law. But on this one, it was within his powers to change or not to change. And nothing would have happened if he didn't change. So I'm just worried about the moral optics this will bring to the Senate, even again, that is struggling with a reputation, given what has played out. Guys, let's go to the highlights.
Just to be clear, this started from a sitting arrangement. That's how this started, so it goes back all the way. But we have more on the show for you, in case you have any thoughts. I can see a lot of comments on YouTube already about this. We'll take your comments, but here's what we have for you on the show as well. Well, the opposition coalition continues to spark debate. I've been speaking with a former Minister of Police Affairs, a former member of Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Adamu Waziri, as he shares, well, his decision to join the ADC, the coalition, and what the road ahead looks like.
And that's not all. From refugees to becoming lawyers. We'll tell the story this morning about 5 formerly internally displaced persons who rose above their circumstances to become lawyers and solicitors of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There's still good stories that come out of Nigeria.
It's brilliant. This is one conversation I can't wait to see. I love good endings. This is a beautiful one, to go through the trauma of being in IDP camp and then have the strength to go through the scholarship rigor of studying law. It's brilliant, it's exceptional, and we will congratulate them when the time comes. It's a good time to be on the show. Several other things as well on the show this morning, but we'll get to the dailies as to what the dailies are saying this morning in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. Derek Kintobi joins us. He's a public affairs analyst. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Very good morning to you. You guys didn't tell me Friday is no tie day.
Yeah, once in a while. once in a while it happens. Yeah. So now you know.
Now I know. Next time I'm coming on Friday. You can even wear
Agbada since it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nigeria first, right?
Indeed.
Okay, so let's get to the papers. Nigerian News Direct is where we started on from, Mr. Kintobi. And 2027. We're all one. Shettima fires unity message to APC, PDP, ADC, and others. The writer, X, says El-Rufai cannot be ignored amid power tussle. He called him enfant terrible. You may not like him, but you can't ignore him. He said he recalls Jonathan's failed attempt to remove him as Borno governor, which is what more people are more interested in, to the effect that this looks like, he mentioned the fact that there are people in the conclave of leadership, president, vice, the Senate president, and the speaker. Certain things that are not privy to any other person. These 3 people or 4 persons are privy to. And in one of those moments during Jonathan's administration, it happened. And there were people who advised the president, now you can't even remove a councillor of a local government, not to talk of, or suspend elected officials like governor or members of the House. But that has sent some shocks in the system as to, was he part of that conclave and he disagreed with the president? And now he now has an opportunity to tell the world his mind. What exactly do you think is going on here, besides the headline message here?
Well, if he disagreed with the president in terms of the River State situation, he should have been mad enough to resign. You don't stay within a system that you don't agree with its principles. So as far as I'm concerned, he was a part of the administration that made the most undemocratic move of removing a governor in the name of security. In his time, what he said yesterday was that there was an attempt by former President Jonathan to remove him, but thanks to the Speaker of the House at that time, Aminu Tambuwal, and the Attorney General Adoke, they stood against it and said a president does not have the power to do that. Now, the surprise is that Vice President Shettima will be talking about this publicly at a time like this, about an administration that he's a part of. So, of course, that has brought about notions of the fact that all is not well in Aso Rock. Remember that when the declaration was made for support for President Tinubu in 2027, Vice President Shettima's name was not mentioned. So
we're piecing it together.
Well, yes, we are taking disparate elements now and sewing them all into a tapestry of disillusionment and discontent and disagreement within the upper echelons of the APC. So there's some sense that everything that Vice President Shettima said yesterday was calculated, and it was based on what is going on behind closed doors that we are not privy to. So if you read between the lines, of course, my contention is that if he really is a Democrat and has democratic credentials, when that very undemocratic move was made to remove the River State governor, he should have stood up against it. He didn't have to go along with it. Why do we feel compelled that in a system where we don't agree with the principles, we can't stand up against them and take a stand? I guess in Nigeria, nobody resigns out of honor. You only resign if you're pushed out or if you're forced to. Like we saw Ganduje recently. He resigned technically on health grounds, but just yesterday he took up an appointment as FAN chairman. But just a couple of weeks ago, he had health problems, which was why he resigned as chairman of the APC.
So where they say it's personal issue, what's that language you use? Personal concerns.
Yeah. No, this one was actually attributed to health grounds.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Mr. Kintobi, let's take a look at, it's funny that this is what's on the front pages, but that is what it is. This Nigeria, next from News Direct. Let's go over to This Nigeria. And everything is talking about 2027 or the previous election or the one before. It's just election, election, election.
Yes.
You see, Tinubu's 3 million golden votes made Buhari win. Ex-SGF Mustafa under fire for downplaying president's role in emergence of predecessor in 2015. I mean, first, when the conversation started, it sounded intriguing, interesting, but now it's almost like we have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Well, the thing for me is that former President Buhari had those 12 million votes in 2003. Then something happened in 2007. I think it was the President Obasanjo shenanigan. He dropped to 6 million.
Yeah.
Then in 2011,
he
came back to 12 million. But in all three instances, those 12 million didn't get him the golden goose. So for all intents and purposes, those 12 million didn't get the job done. He needed some kind of a leg up. He needed a boost that would get him over the top. And I think all the legacy parties, the ACN, the CPC, which Boss Mustafa said CPC had only one state at that point in time, one governor in power at that time. But even the new PDP, they all contributed. And I think it was the coming together of all of those that helped to push him over the top. So I don't think any individual entity can claim that I made him president.
Everybody played a role.
Yes, everybody contributed. So it was a coalition of interests that gave him the push.
But do you think there are two things I'm looking at here which I would like you to speak to?
Yes.
The shots are coming from the north. The vice president has fired his own shots. A day after Boss Mustafa from the north has fired his own shots. We can go down the line. Yes. So on one hand, what do you make of these shots being fired from the north? That's on one hand. The other hand, the response as well seemed to be like a direct response to what we call the Abeokuta Declaration.
Yes.
The Emilokon.
Right.
When he went to Abeokuta and said Emilokon.
Yes.
And talked about that if not for him.
Yes.
Muhammadu Buhari wouldn't have been president. I visited the president, the then candidate, then he was crying, said, don't worry, we can pull this together.
Yes.
So he clearly said, it was me that did the job.
Yes.
So maybe, are you thinking it's a reply to say, no, you didn't do the job?
Well, let me answer your first question first, and I'll come to the second. This one about the North. Many Northern elder statesmen have said it repeatedly that President Tinubu is not going to get the support of the North in his second term. That is a given. And it's been repeated over and over again. So you now look at the shots that are coming from the North. You look at the fact that that opposition, that ADC opposition, is peopled by Northern heavyweights. When you look at the David Marks, you look at the Atiku Abubakar, you look at the El Rufai. Primarily, the core of that foundation, of that coalition, is Northern people. And their expressed avowed goal is to unseat President Tinubu. So you know there is a dichotomy of interest right there between what the North is projecting for 2027 and what President Tinubu, his aspirations are. Now, coming back to the Abeokuta Declaration, remember that he talked about President Buhari went 3 times and kept falling. I remember before he said the Emiloko, he said Olule.
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 He went the first time, Olule. He went the second time, Olule.
I remember that.
So yes, that was a direct affront and essentially taking the glory that he made it happen. So this could now be the North coming to water down that assertion, saying that, okay, you played a role, you perhaps were instrumental, but you can't take the glory individually and say, you made it happen.
That's 3+ years after. I mean, isn't it why now? Because he made those statements pre-2023.
Yes.
So I think it aligns
that almost cost him to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Because I remember Abdullah Adamu almost replied to the then candidate, say,
in that sense,
you will be disciplined, or there's a way he made a statement.
Remember that this is all about 2027. When he made that statement, he was in the ascendancy. He had momentum. He was the candidate to beat. So he had the wherewithal and the liberty to say it and get away with it. But now 2027 is coming, it's in focus, and there's a lot of going on, backroom dealing, and a lot of issues in play at the moment. But it's all geared towards 2027. And at this time, the president is on the back foot. There is a real concern about this coalition. You can see from the reaction of the presidency, you can see from the way they are coming out swinging, when they should be embracing the opposition as a good thing, that at least we have competition that can keep us on our feet and help us perform better. I think an opposition is a credit to any administration, having a viable opposition.
Well said, Mr. Akintobi. I want APC to survive. I want ADC to survive. I want PDP to survive. Let's have enough on our table. Let everybody survive so that nobody is lot of the manner.
Yes.
Vanguard is leading with the issue, this visa war. At least I'm happy that we at least have some things to combat with the biggest economy in the world, even if it's hurting us the more. but I just like the idea that we're on this table a bit. FG explains stance as U.S. slams tighter measures. Says 5-year non-immigrant multiple entry visa for U.S. citizens still in place. 90-day single entry visa validity period applies only to newly introduced e-visas. This is FG explaining that this is unfair reciprocity. U.S. introduces fresh $250 visa integrity fee for tourists, students, and workers. So the U.S. is saying this is their 90-day or 3-month single entry visa to say if you come within 90 days, in fact, you must apply, you must come within 90 days. And when you leave, don't come back except you're reapplying, because we're just responding to what your government did to us. The government is saying that's not what we meant. What do you make of it?
Well, Trump has this, apart from, as part of his making America great, he's really streamlining this notion of immigration, whether you're going for business, for school, for even to immigrate to the United States. He's making it tougher. He seems to forget that America is made up of immigrants. Yeah. He himself, his grandfather came from Germany, came from Austria, exactly. So this notion of tightening or putting in restrictions that make it harder for people to go to America on legitimate reasons. I'm glad the Nigerian government is taking a stand to say, look, we have reciprocity. Yeah. So it's what you give us that we will also give your people. But Nigeria, as of today, our visa requirements for those coming from America are much more liberal than these terms that America is trying to give us now. And it's also disheartening to note, I don't know if the UAE is looking at what America is doing, because they also revised their visa requirements for Nigerians a couple of days ago and said it's not as straightforward. You couldn't just, before you could apply for a transit visa, you could get it through the travel agent you buy your ticket from. They've made it much harder. So I think it's only fair that what they give to us, we should give back to them. So if they're saying 3 months, single entry, let us give them 30 days, half entry.
No cheating, 50-50, as they say. Interesting point there. But the Guardian newspaper, Mr. Kitobi, leads with a very interesting story, and it concerns elderly care. Now, this is a big deal in some other climes. Elderly care is like a big industry. In fact, you have Nigerians leaving the country, going there to work at care homes, and it's a big one. You see, emerging boom in home services, costly substitute for ailing hospitals. And I've seen some of these homes springing up in Nigeria as well, and I think it's something we need to look at, because we also have an aging population in that sense. Yes, we have majority youths, but we also have the elderly, and sometimes their children are out of the country, they're left to fend for themselves. But the cost is another thing. On the one hand, it's quite costly. A lot of people don't mind. But then it means that the hospitals, some of them have geriatric centers, by the way. The hospitals are then losing their patients to these care homes. It's a good development, but also a bad development for our hospitals that are already ailing. So can we pick and choose what outcomes we have, or we just go with the flow?
Well, I think the roles of care homes and hospitals are actually mutually exclusive. Hospitals have a tendency for remedial care. They treat you when you are ailing. They don't do long-term palliative care like the care homes do, which is the care homes provide an environment for you to age with grace. They provide an environment that continues to try to give you the kind of quality of life you're used to, but in the absence of that close family network. Having said that, I think it's culturally reprehensible in Nigeria, the notion of us farming out our parents or our elderly ones to care homes to be looked after by others. We are a very family-centric culture, where even if all your children have gone overseas, there'll always be some relative, some distant relative, some younger niece from the village that will come and live with you and take care of you in your old age. I do see these care homes springing up, and they're actually starting to get patronage. So it starts to worry me that Western culture and Western ways are starting to seep into our own cultural orientation and beginning to alter our values somewhat. 20 years ago, you'd never hear the idea of any son or daughter sending their parents away to be cared for by strangers, to live in a strange environment, to be fed, clothed, bathed, medicined by strangers, essentially. what children would even do in those days would be to employ carers to come to the house, and then they would supervise even from a distance. But to now shut down the house, send the parent out, I think it reeks a bit of, in spite of the fact that it might be necessary, but sacrifices are necessary. In America and the UK, when you turn 18 years old, your parents kick you out. Go and make your own life and fend for yourself. So it comes full circle. When they age, you now kick them back out. So it's do me, I do you, God no go vex, you know. But we've never been like that. I know 40-something-year-olds who are still living in their parents' houses in Nigeria till today. So that's never been a part of our way. But where it becomes necessary, see, in Nigeria, we have the family structure as our social safety net. In Western countries, the government is your social safety net. That's why you end up in care homes. In Nigeria, it's never been necessary. But going back to your original contention, I don't really think it puts the hospitals in any kind of jeopardy in terms of their operational capabilities, because the requirements are different. They both serve different purposes. The hospitals really do the job of caring for you, and as soon as you get well enough, they ship you off. But the care homes are more long-term, geriatric, palliative care.
Fair enough. There's a lot more we can talk about on the front pages, but there's this thing that looms large, and I just wanted you to speak to it. It's not on the front page of The Guardian. Don't worry, you can come back to me, Director. And it's this. So the BRICS summit has ended. Mm-hmm. It didn't end yesterday. It didn't end 2 days ago. It didn't end 3 days ago. It ended about 4 days ago. Yes. But President Bola Tinubu is not back in the country. Mm. I've not heard about, I've not heard anything about this is what he will be doing afterwards. He was in St. Lucia for some time, a week plus actually. And people were like, what was he doing in St. Lucia? But it was already set, right? Then he went for the BRICS summit. But BRICS is over, and a lot of people are asking, where is our president? Do you think this is normal? Maybe in other climes where you, for a period of time, you wonder, is the president in France, in the UK, St. Lucia, or is he even in Abuja, and we don't know? Or what exactly?
Well, the president is a public servant. He works for us. By rights, we should know everything about him, his health, his itinerary, even what he eats for breakfast, if we're interested to that nitty-gritty detail. And say for America, for example, if the president is going overseas for whatever reason, it's announced ahead of time. His full itinerary is given to the public, you know. So I've noticed that with President Tinubu, he's made a lot of foreign trips, and many of them are not fully explicated. He usually combines certain other personal things. He wants to go and rest, maybe he wants to see his doctors, but he's not been one who's been full with disclosure about his movement. And I think that robs the public of necessary knowledge in terms of those who lead us. We have a right, indeed, we have an obligation to know the state of his health, where he's going, what he's going there to do. I think it smacks of arrogance that you leave your constituency, you go on an official basis. A lot of people criticize the St. Lucia visit. Why a whole week in a country that has the population of Alimosho local government? What are you going to do there for a whole week? I mean, there's very little economic opportunity in terms of what Nigeria and St. Lucia can do. But he went for a week. Okay, so fine. Then he went to BRICS from there. But after that, all of a sudden, there's blackout on information. We don't know where he is, we don't know who he's with. I don't think it's the very best in a democratic dispensation that we don't know, we're not up to date on everything about the president on a daily basis. We should know.
It just, I don't even know what to say. But it's interesting the kind of leadership we have in Africa. But I think they put out this information. So Mr. Onanuga is always the one putting out this information. So where's our president, Mr. Bayo Onanuga? Where is President Bola Tinubu? That's just what we're asking. Breaks has ended. Did he go to somewhere to rest? He has a right to rest, by the way. Whatever it is that is happening to the president, let us know. Yes. Let us know. I think it's all right. We voted him in, so we need to know where he is.
Absolutely.
Because we can't see in case there's an information we're not aware of. But right now, we cannot see that information. Mr. Dio, okay, so thank you so much for coming to the program. As always, your insights are well accepted, and it's always a pleasure to have you. It's public affairs analyst having us always here with us. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll bring you our very first conversation, and it's politics. Join us again.
Welcome back. And so before we head over to politics, of course, there's a lot to talk about as far as that is concerned. Let's check with our girls. Yes, the Super Falcons secured their place in the quarterfinals of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON in Morocco yesterday in a hard-fought victory over Botswana, I believe, 1-0. Our sports correspondent, Miable Cecilia Omorogbe, joins us now from Casablanca in Morocco to bring us up to speed with what's happening in the girls' camp, particularly following that victory. Cecilia, it's very good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good morning.
Yes, evidently. So, Cecilia, walk us through what you made of that match. A hard-fought one, right? And compared to our earlier outing with the Tunisians, how did that match come through for you?
I think this was really scrappy. I mean, we were on the edge, especially from the 75th minute when literally the girls decided to start playing. Because the first 45 minutes, we were wondering what was going on. Like, it wasn't just connecting, it was a deviation from what we watched against Tunisia. So the urgency wasn't there. Players were a bit laid back. But in the second half, the coach, as usual, made his usual changes. It's like right now in the first two games he's played, we can easily predict what he's going to do. He used the same lineup for the first game, the same lineup for the second game too. And then the substitution he made at halftime, literally almost the same. You know, especially when I thought Asisa Shola was going to continue because she wasn't doing so badly. But he put up the front three in the beginning of the second half, and then put another front three again, like he did the last time too in the history. You have Esther coming in, and of course, also having I remember her name. Just those three players, you know, he brought in at that time. So I think the pace changed a little bit. There was a little bit of urgency from that 75th minute until finally Chinyere, who scored the third goal for Nigeria in the game against Tunisia, you know, scored that from a thorough pass from Esther Koronko. I think those two actually added a little bit. I was wondering, Christy Uchebe was the third substitution, the three substitution he made, you know, going into the second half, and that's kind of brought that urgency into the game. Then later, Deborah Abiodun was also taken out because of that. She was already on the red, and Jennifer Echegini came on, and we could see the difference those players actually made, especially Jennifer, her pace. Esther also her pace, their crosses. You know, we're not coming through, so to speak. And then you had Ashley Plumter actually missing that shot from, you know, that she played, you know, missing it. And then you also have Tony Payne missing one very crucial one that was in the first half. By the end of the day, I mean, it was a long goal. We'll take it, but it was really nerve-wracking because when I was with them at the press conference a day before on Wednesday, the whole thing was, let's win this and then they'll rest a little bit, and knowing that you're already through to the quarterfinals. And that's exactly what they did, won by a long goal. But the good thing is the Super Falcons are in the quarterfinals with the game to Spurs. So Algeria is on Sunday, and they will definitely be looking forward to that, see how they can actually improve, because Nigerians were on the edge. And the difference is against Tunisia, we didn't really have more people coming to the stadium, but now we have more journalists coming in. They also have more fans actually coming in. Like they have to spread the word around that hey, something is going on. Because when you come to Morocco, you think there's nothing going on, but the fans are coming in. The whole Nigerian fans, the crowd was. It had a little bit of crowd there, just supporting fans residing in the Casablanca. Because so far are still, I think they're still in Lagos. They've not been able to come because of visa issues and everything. But it was looking great, really. The supporters are coming in, so it's looking great.
Okay, I know you had conversations with the players and the technical crew, so maybe we'll take a listen to the captain, Ajibade, speaking after the match, and then you speak to us about whether or not they felt heavy again this time around. So here's the captain of Super Falcons, Ajibade, speaking after that match.
Well, I feel grateful to God Almighty for winning this man of the match, but I will be deceiving myself if I say I do it alone. Special thanks to my teammates. It's a collective effort because we fought to the very end as a team. It wasn't an easy game. It was a very difficult one. But yeah, all thanks to my teammate, all thanks to the technical team, and all thanks to the supporters that came out to cheer us today. My overall view against Botswana is a good side. In this tournament, nobody can be underrated. Every team is, for qualifying to this tournament, very good and exceptional side. The fact that we're Nigeria doesn't mean that it's going to be an easy sail over for all of us. So it's a very challenging game and a very competitive one, but we are grateful to God that we got the win in the hand. Talking about myself, I don't have any injuries. I'm 100% fit, but yeah, I'm doing what I can do to the best of my ability, and I would keep pushing because for me it's an honor and a huge responsibility for me to play for the national team, so it's all about giving my best every time I have the opportunity to be on that pitch.
Okay, so Sisi, to my question, did they feel heavy? And can we do, is this mission impossible or mission possible?
I think mission is still possible. Yeah, I think
like
the game was like, I have to ask Rashida Ajibade the question, about, because our pace, we know how pacey she can be, but it seems as if it wasn't really there, it wasn't the Rashida that we know. So there's a little bit of this heaviness, in the team. But at the end of the day, they came through. What is important is actually the win, not how they play. The results matters. When we play a tournament, you don't even remember the second place or the third place. You always remember the winner. So that is what is important for the girls. But I think Mission X is still possible, yes? It's still very, very possible. Early days, and I feel maybe they're trying not to exert too much energy, just putting it all out, and then everyone understands this is how Super Falcons play. Because the first game they played at the second are a bit different. The tactics a bit different from the perspective of the coach, from what we and from what he said at the press conference after the game. So he knows what he's doing. Yeah.
All right, so as we're going to wind down, I want you to look at what are the weak points and the weak links here that we need to fix, because when you talk about tactical moves, these are the things you have primarily look at, and so they can strengthen them. What do you see? Because I was listening to some person say, oh, they were not really impressed with the out, saying that they don't know how far they can go. But I'm also looking at what the weaknesses are that you've observed from where you sit and what can be done to, give us that glory back.
Yeah, I think that will have to be, from, when you're playing, when you're having a wing play, especially in the first half. Usually the second half of both games are a bit different. I think when you're having a wing play, your wingers should be able to cross. Your number 7 should understand that when she's with the ball, she has to run with the ball and not try to, play short passes. When you have the ball, you have opportunity to run with the ball, you run with the ball. But I think generally, maybe what the coach should do is the fact that, let's Nigerians enjoy your game, really. The tactics of you having to play a scrappy first half and then the second half, maybe towards 20 minutes to the end of the game, that's when you're coming at. If we play teams like Zambia that have, attack-minded players like Barbara Branda, Kundandanji, and the likes, it's going to be hard for us because before you get your feet on, you may be 2 or 3 goals down. But the good thing is our defense line is perfect. That's the good thing. We have a very good defense line. I mean, we have one of the best goalkeepers in the world. But the midfield is solid. It's not so bad. But we have to plug the wingers, especially when you're having that Tony Payne. I'm trying not to mention some names, we're having some players who are really not pulling their weight. He can actually easily put them out, which he's doing, really. I mean, I'll give him credit for that. Like, he knows when to make substitution, and it's working for him. So if you're making your substitutions and it's working for him and you're winning games, I think Nigerians shouldn't complain. Just take the victory and then roll with it.
All right, Sisi. We know that fufu is a very popular cuisine across the world, and in fact popular with our players. But we hope that the girls don't get to eat fufu throughout this WAFCON tournament, so that we will secure all our games. But Sisi, what's your prediction for Algeria? Briefly, in 10 seconds.
I think Algeria will be easier. Maybe 3 or 4 goals, yeah? Yeah, I think we'll take that.
We'll take that. We'll take 3 goals. Thank you so much, Cecilia, our sports correspondent, Cecilia Morogwe, bringing us up to speed with the girls' Super Falcons performance in Morocco. Thank you, Cecilia.
Thank you.
All right, let's set the political ball rolling now. After this time out, we'll begin our first conversation on Coalition 2027 with a former member of the Board of Trustees of the PDP who has now defected to the ADC. Stay with us for this one. We'll be right back.
Let's now talk politics. This is one you definitely want to brace up for. Yes, we're joined on the program, as you can see, by a former Minister of Police Affairs, a former member of the PDP BOT, founding member of the People's Democratic Party. Alhaji Adamu Waziri is our guest on the program, joining us from our Abuja studio. It's good to see you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Emmanuel. It's a long time.
Well, it has been a long time. Kayode here, though. But your move just some days ago shocked a lot of people because, I mean, founding member of the People's Democratic Party, member of the Board of Trustees, you were minister under Yaradua, Minister of Police Affairs under Goodluck Jonathan. I mean, if they're counting people that will be last men standing in the PDP, you'd probably be on a list of 1 to 10. But here you are, now a member of the ADC. I know you put out a statement, you cited the reasons, but some are saying, is there like a northern plan to unseat President Bola Tinubu come 2027 with all of the moves we're seeing, particularly in the north now, Alhaji?
Good morning, Emmanuel. Please, you can do better with that question. We are talking about the presidency of Nigeria that is supposed to deliver good governance so that our people, Nigerians from all nooks and corners of the country, will find some solace. It's not a question of the North and South. At my age, I have interacted with a lot of people from the South. And the current leadership is not reflective of the competencies available in the South. So I am not going to be held down by what some Nigerians reduce the issue, the serious issue facing this country, to North and South, Muslim, Christian, PDP, APC, and the rest of it. Let us focus on what are the issues bedeviling this country. And the issues bedeviling this country are born out of bad leadership, misgovernance, corruption, etc., etc. So we are looking for anybody from any part of the country who is going to bring some mitigation so that the Nigerian people will now feel that they belong to this country and they deserve a better leadership.
Well, I'm glad we've gotten that out of the way, Alhaji Waziri, because there had been a lot of talks, and I'm sure you're aware of those talks. So it's important to ask you that question frontally. If that will put the issues to rest, well, it's left to be seen. So let's come back to you, your trajectory, and what you describe as bad governance. I know that there was some response from support groups in your state who had said, well, you've enjoyed every blessing under the PDP, you chose to leave. I think even the chairman of your ward left with you as well. But the support group said, well, there's still PDP, you've not taken over the machinery in terms of ADC taking over. But let's speak pointedly to the issues of bad governance, which you refer to. From where you sit, how bad are things? And what are the solutions that the ADC or the coalition is bringing to the table specifically now? Elijah.
No, we are in a political environment. In fact, let's say it ought to be in a democratic political environment where the people will have an opportunity to pass a verdict on the way they are being led by its current leadership. And Nigeria is a community, will not progress unless it has got the right people doing the right thing at the right time in terms of leadership and governance. What we are having now is a negativity of all those good things we are expecting from a democratic leadership. Therefore, I am championing, among many other patriotic Nigerians, to pursue the path whereby come 2027, the current government, the current leadership of Nigeria will be replaced by a more competent, more nationalistic, less corrupt, less tribalistic, less nepotic person to bring some measure of hope and good governance in Nigeria. Nobody other than a Nigerian or other than Nigerians can turn around the fortunes of this country. I have been involved in governance from 1998 to date. And I know what it is. At my age, I've been through tribulations. But what we're experiencing is a catastrophe of enormous proportions that is happening in this country. We want a cohesive Nigeria. We want a united Nigeria. We want a Nigeria where our children will submit themselves to nationhood. You know, what is happening now is amply captured by one of your own, Sheun, in a very terse and bull-eye advice to President Bola Tinubu on this media, whereby he was advising for some redress of what is happening. There is also the very, very pungent and heart-touching sermon by Pastor Tunde Bakari. Of recent, a so-called somebody who is even allied to the government, Rabiu Konkoso, was also advising the government that look back, look inward, and see that the country is not what it's supposed to be. There is general feeling of disaffection in Nigeria. All people of goodwill must rise because we have to save this country from misgovernance. We have to save this country from corruption. We have to save this country from nepotic administration. These are the issues that we need to focus ourselves. And the current dispensation allows political parties to come together, allows politicians to come together. There is no way you will replace these ills unless you have a leadership.
All right, Mr. Waziri, if you can hear me. Yes, you know, the concern being raised, I think what I hear from you is more of unity. You're calling for unity. Some persons will say if the people that are accusing Bola Tinubu, the president, of nepotism, of maybe appointing his people, as it is said, that Muhammadu Buhari is as guilty as well when they looked at some of his appointment, where the word then was his appointment was a lot lopsided. So it looks like people take rounds for lopsidedness. But what is more important to Nigerians beside the issue of aggregating our interests to have a sense of unity is the issue of the economy. So let's point it, in your words, bullseye. We are yet to hear in clear terms how the coalition, that's why we're picking responses at least from individual members of the coalition, since there's no aggregated policy direction yet from the coalition. And that's why I'm asking you the question about, you have said that there's a lot going wrong in Nigeria as far as the management of our country is concerned, i.e. the economy. What alternative idea in terms of policy direction of the economy are you putting on the table? The president's direction is as clear as crystal. The impact of that direction, we're all feeling it. What other alternative do you have?
I think I'm talking to Emmanuel.
Yeah, this is Jeffrey. This is not Emmanuel.
Yes. Okay. Now, let me start from the beginning of your question. You referred to the administration of President Buhari and now to the administration of Bola Tinubu. All my political life, I have not been part of that administration. My political identity has been different. All the two administrations you mentioned were APC or are APC. I have been in the PDP as an opposition element to the APC administration. I am now in ADC as another opposition element to the policies of the APC. So, both President Buhari administration and Bola Tinubu's administration are not politically aligned to my own thoughts. Having said so, let me say that we have been suffering from the economic mismanagement of Nigeria from 2015 to date. And all this has been under the APC administration. PDP have tried to challenge it. Over some time, it got compromised because the leadership got compromised. And now we have cobbled together, coming together of key political opposition elements in the country to birth the ADC. And if an administration that had been there for 10 years have not given you hope, I think the ADC will require you to give us the 4 weeks to finish installing our structures nationwide, and then when we come to formally launch the party at a chosen date, at a chosen place, we are going to unfold our manifesto, we are going to unfold the structure, we are going to unfold the key components of the leadership. Please,
Mr. Waziri, my apologies. My apologies, sir. My apologies, because I was very deliberate in my question. I did agree that whilst housekeeping is ongoing with the ADC, and Nigerians are in a hurry to know what policy direction the ADC will take, what we are left with right now is individual position in terms of what they would do if they were in charge, which is why I'm asking you, not the ADC. You're a member of the coalition. So I want to ask you a direct question. What will you do if you were to propose to the ADC in terms of policy direction on how to manage our debt, in power sector? Will the ADC bring back subsidy in one form or the other? These are direct questions.
Well, these are direct questions that I will take the Fourth Amendment because it's not my bit to answer it. These are going to be policies of the party of which I am a member that has got a leadership, that has got a pool of experts that have worked and are working to bring about our policy manifesto that will show the difference between the ADC and the two administrations of the APC. Nigerians should be in a hurry in telling the APC that after 10 years of administration, we have been a lot worse than when you started. That's what Nigerians should be doing, not asking the ADC that is just barely 12 days old, oh, how are you going to? We are going to reverse a couple of things that the APC administration has inflicted on Nigeria.
Well, I'd like to believe and say that on behalf of Nigerians, we have a leadership that will make references to this thing officially. Well, Alhaji, I'd like to believe and say on behalf of Nigerians that there shouldn't really be a timeline to asking a party that is presenting itself as a credible alternative how it would go about transforming the fortunes of the country and giving them a better deal if indeed it is positioning itself to do so. But let's talk about what should be within your purview to speak to if the alternative policies are not necessarily within your purview, and which would be the presentation of the candidacy of the adopted political party. That's the biggest talking point right now as far as the coalition is concerned. And so there are interests that have come through, that have publicly declared. But for those who are saying the coalition wants to advance a northern candidate, that this is a sort of an attempt to grab power back by the northern political elite, what then happens for those who believe that President Muhammadu Buhari, former president, had completed his own 8-year tenure, and it is only fair for a southern candidate to be presented this time around to complete perhaps the 4-year tenure that is, due to the south? What are your thoughts on this?
I desist from reducing myself to North and South politics. I am for a Nigerian who would bring about some cohesion, who will stamp out corruption, who will penalize corrupt practices, who will not be nepotic, who will redress the economic hardship Nigerians are facing. You see, the press and politicians should espouse those things that hold this country together. You know, all this recourse to bifurcating Nigeria to North and South, Muslims and Christians, are not facilitative of national cohesion. And it is very unfair to some of us who has served in public office this country. There are people, and it's there in the public domain, all these issues of how many years this has done, this has done, this has not done. I mean, I have decided to live above that, and I will do that. And there is no amount of questioning that will allow me to depart from my choosing path, that I am a Nigerian. I want all of us to be Nigerians. If we are talking on ethnicity, on regionalism, we are not going to go anywhere, because what is happening is not a regionalistic expression of what constitutes Nigeria. We are just having somebody, some people exercising bad governance that we need to redress for this country to move forward.
Well, it's still less than 2 years, but some will say that's very little time in that sense. But I want you to speak to then what you'll be looking at in terms of how the coalition shapes up. Because whether you like it or not, a lot of Nigerians are watching to see. They've already seen the names, right, but they're waiting to see how the coalition shapes up. In terms of the ADC, you're going to maintain the constitution, I imagine. The policy direction, is it going to be socialist? I'm just using big terms. Is it communist or whatever? What will be the ideology? A lot of people suspect that with all of these big names, it might be really tough to come to a decision that will bind everybody. Because, I mean, there's a whole former vice president, Atiku Abubakar. There is former presidential candidate Peter Obi. There is Rotimi Amechi. There's Nasir El-Rufai, and all of those big names. So in terms of the shaping up, do you think that all of these egos can be clipped under one party?
Yes. I want to respond to you by saying these big names we are talking about, please make it complementary. They are not only big names, they are competent big names who have got a record of service. And if they are competent and they have competencies, be assured, all these things will be pulled together to provide the kind of aspirations the ADC will provide for the redress of the ills bedeviling this country. That is one. Two, if we are asking for Nigerians to give us 3 months, the Bola Tinubu administration is asking for Nigerians to give us another 2 years. What are the records? The 2 years of Bola Tinubu has inflicted severe pains on Nigeria. That's why someone are saying, if you give them another 2 years, it will be a catastrophe. So, if you are ready to wait for 2 years, we are saying don't wait for 2 years. Give us the next 2 years so that we can change this country. I mean,
Alhaji, just to be clear, when you say give us the next 2 years, pardon me to butt in quickly, this government has 4 years constitutionally. So are you planning to still take the remaining 2 years? Or maybe I didn't get you correctly.
No, if I have the democratic means to remove this government in tomorrow, I will remove this government, if I have the democratic means. But I don't have the democratic means, which means I have to wait for 2 years to do so. And like Bola, is it Mr. Onanuga, we are not toppling this government. We are going to democratically remove this government. It is cheap blackmail to say people are planning to oust this government. No, we are challenging this government, you know, on the democratic process and to remove it. If I can do that, if there is a way that constitutionality and democracy allows us to remove this government tomorrow, we will do it.
Well, Alhaji, quite interesting times we find ourselves in, and here you are in the ADC. We'll see how things shape up for the coalition in the coming days. But we have to thank you so much for your time. I know we had to bring you quite early. We've been speaking with a former Minister of Police Affairs, former PDP BOT member, who is now a member of the ADC, Alhaji Adamu Maina Waziri. Thank you for your time and wish you the very best.
Thank you. I look forward to meeting you again.
Certainly. We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we're going to bring you a story that will inspire you. They used to be internally displaced persons, but guess what? They're now lawyers have been called to bar. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Get into that very inspiring conversation. Let's give you a soundbite of moments after the Supreme Court affirmed the election of Edo State Governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo. And well, I can tell you for sure there's a lot of celebration, at least on that side of the divide. And there you see the dance moves.
Coming around for our good. We hooray!
And I also look forward to a time when the people can sing and dance and say, I can see everything turning around. I mean, people across board. Because it looks like the politicians are always celebrating.
There were more songs. We know. I watched the entire video. It's interesting. Well, congratulations to him. Now he doesn't have nothing to bother about. Aswe Godalo may have to wait for another 4 years to run again. He's put out his own statement. He considered what the Supreme Court did as a betrayal. But on this flip side, this is celebrations all the way for him as far as this is concerned. So congratulations to the team. And now, as you said, Kayode, this dance has to be, it has to go around. It has to reflect in the lives of people. Edo State has a lot of things to tackle. Security is a big deal there. Issues around infrastructure, water is also quite an issue. Rural development. So the list is on, just like it's common in everywhere. So we hope that Senator Mondokpolo, who is now confirmed by the Supreme Court that his mandate is sealed for the next 4 years, can really help the people and take it, scale it up even further. But let's bring you another video this time of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, at an event in what's the community? Umuchima. It was
Imo State.
In Imo State, sharing food, you know, just more like a waiter's job. I don't know what to call it, guys. But are we back here again with politicians doing these kind of things? You know, yes, the man is a simple man. I think everybody can agree to the fact that he has shown that. I've met him at the airport before. He doesn't have any air around him, just a simple, easygoing guy. But, you know, we can't also take away the fact that this is also politics. But I don't think we should go back to this kind of politics anymore.
Just everywhere there already.
Sharing food.
You will see a lot.
Buying corn on the street.
You will see them as bricklayers,
frying gari. You know, those, I don't know. But this is just for optics.
So here's what I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a track record. A lot of people know him. I mean, he carries his bags.
Yeah, I've met him at the airport, so I can.
So he has that track record. What I want to see, and it was good to see Vice President Kashim Shettima also holding the door open for, you know, visitors in that sense. I look forward to a time when our leaders are really servants in that sense. It almost feels like our leaders are gods.
No, they are lords.
In that sense,
the rule of man.
I want this to trickle down. Every single, you go to other climes, you can see your representative. In fact, I mean, when I was in Ukraine, even under those circumstances, the mayor of Lviv had a meeting with us at his balcony where people were walking past and seeing him and waving. And that's the sense. They see their mayors every day. So I think this is good, but we should have this consistently. Let our leaders have that servant mentality etched into their brains.
Oh, well, indeed, Mr. Peter Obi has always advocated, you know, leadership with compassion, and we see him, you know, time and again identifying with institutions, with, you know, people in internally displaced persons camps, victims of insurgency, bandit attack, making donations. But of course, we also know that that has also been heightened. That characterization of him has come through even more forcefully after the 2023 presidential election. So you cannot dismiss that there's a huge political undertone to this. So when we can begin to see this as genuine is if this is the characterization of all elected and appointed political office holders when they actually hold office and they identify with the people in this manner, because this has a lot of politics all over it. Yeah.
So get ready, just brace up. You'll see a lot more, so you should be able to decipher. It's usually tough, but I think people should be able to see beyond whatever it is they're doing. Look at who they were before that. Is that who they've always been? That you can tell who is telling the truth or not. But make no mistake, you will see a lot of this.
So I don't want to see it.
You will. I don't.
No, we've even seen
I don't want to see
campaigns with candidates or aspirants going ahead to fry akara, with
fry garis.
Exactly. We've seen these things.
Tweet on the road. Hawk pure water.
Yeah.
What is that?
Politics.
Anyway, let's some bright spot. One of Nigeria's top-tier banks has now been listed on the London Stock Exchange. Congratulations to them, GT Bank. Directly on the exchange. Nigerian banks are, people may say what they want to say, but if you're in other climes and see what these guys have achieved with technology, you really commend it. There's a long way to go as far as the banking system is concerned, but when we are making strides like this, please, we will have to celebrate them. So congratulations to the bank for being listed on the London Stock Exchange. So we can now buy shares on the FTSE, if you will, and all of that. So young people are into all of this now. So congratulations to them.
What a journey.
Yeah.
From GT Bank to GT Co.
Yeah.
And it's good to
Fuggers,
see.
the first, the unit.
So way to go.
So congratulations. When we do big things, we will celebrate those big things. And this is one of those big things.
But we might also add that we'd like to see Nigerian banks more, representative of the development across, the strata of the economy, because they're posting a lot of profit. But do we see that also reflecting in the real sector of the economy? So we'd like to see that as well. This prosperity in the banking sector, we'd like it to reflect across board.
Okay, let's also remind you that we're expecting the numbers today, guys. GDP rebase number, hopefully we'll see it. But let's get to that exciting conversation. I've been looking forward to this conversation. So backstory, there were IDPs, internally displaced persons. But by providence and support system, they are now lawyers and solicitors of the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There's nothing more beautiful than that. Okay, Solomon Falorunsho is the founder of ICCF Missions, who has played a key role. He's joining us from our Abuja studios, as well as Sami Wakili, a lawyer, joining us right there in our Abuja studio. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Good morning.
Congratulations to you, Wakili. I would have loved to start with Mr. Falorunsho, but let me start with you because I can see you all dressed up, super excited that this has finally happened. Walk us through your journey, because that's the most important part of this conversation. From IDP to now somebody who can go all the way to the Supreme Court as an advocate.
Sorry, I didn't get your question well, sir.
I just say, walk us through your story.
Okay, my story, sir?
Yes, please.
Yes. I am Saminu Ewakili, just like you mentioned. I am from Borno State, Goza local government to be precise. We were displaced by the Boko Haram insurgency sometime which started from 2009, but go to our region 2013, 2014. And since we were displaced from there, I and my family ran through Cameroon. And throughout that season, I was school dropout. And what happened back home is such that they burnt our houses, burnt our belongings and everything, and we lost everything. And there was no hope. I was a school dropout. I remember then while staying in that place in Cameroon, a place called Gelevde, we have to go to another town with a bicycle to do Okada to bring some foodstuff back to this Gelevde community just to find something that will give us maybe 500, 600, just to find something to survive. Sometimes we part from our parents from morning till evening, we will not see them and all that. So all this while I was school dropout, trying to survive, and we had nothing, trying to seek refuge from one place to another in Cameroon. So during that period, somebody helped me to get out of the Cameroon, and I left my parents there sometime in 2015, January. I left them on the 2nd of January 2015, and this person brought me And then from Abuja, I was taken to the IDP camp in Benin City. And that was the purpose. He actually helped me out. And then when I got to the IDP camp Benin City in 2015, January, I started in GS3. And God helping me, I was able to cope through the encouragement of our daddy. Of those days, our hope was that let's be somewhere that we will find peace. We will not hear the gunshot that we run from every day, hiding from it and all that. Not even necessary that, okay, I must go to school, but let me be somewhere that is safe. In fact, my parents didn't want me to come out and leave them because they felt like if it is going to be dead, let's all die together. Because if I go to Nigeria, they felt like every part of Nigeria will be in the hand of these people. So I shouldn't leave them. I should just be with them and then let's die together wherever. But then I have to insist in school and all that, and they allowed me, and they remained there in that region. So when I stayed in the IDP camp 2015, I started in GS3, and I was able to cope, like I said, from the encouragement of our coordinator, Pastor Solomon F. Lawrence, and other people who are taking care of us at the IDP camp, Benin City. So I was able to pass my junior secondary school, went to SS1, finished, and then wrote JAM, got admission to Edo State University, Uzarwe. It was not all easy, but through the help of God, through the tireless effort of the coordinator, our daddy and Pastor Solomon F. Lawrence, I was able to go through the university and finish my LLB degree, where I was the best graduating student then with a CGPA of 4.43. And from there, I proceeded to the Nigerian Law School in 2014, and I finished at the Enugu campus of the Nigerian Law School last year in November. And yesterday, I'm so excited, having not even met with my parents who have left for more than 10 years now. I'm now a lawyer. I've been called to the Nigerian bar, confirmed. I'm a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And I'm not the only one. We are 5 in number that have been called so far. This is what men can do. This is what the IDP camp has done for us. Most of us have run and we parted with our parents. We undergo so many things, but today I thank God that we are now barristers and solicitors of the Supreme Court of Nigeria confirmed.
Indeed. Congratulations, Barrister Wakili. Your story is indeed an inspiring one. Let me bring this now to Pastor Folorunsho. Hearing Barrister Wakil speak must be, your dream playing out right before you. Walk us through what was involved in the midwifing process that saw this dream of the 5 IDPs becoming lawyers.
Yes, some years ago we as pastors we decided to register an organization to care for the needy in the society, persons who are vulnerable, either orphans or out of school, homeless, and what have you. And we started in the South there, training children who today, some are doctors, some are lawyers, some are even judges in the court. And then 2012, when they started calling out and reaching out to us from the north about terrorism there and these young children running here and there, and we felt we were quite inadequate, we didn't have what it takes, but the heart of mercy made us to embrace them. And when they came, we saw that they were just lagging behind in the area of education. And we thought, okay, what can we offer them? Just keeping them here from, keeping them safe, then having a place to sleep and giving them food is not enough. Let's give them a future. And it was so difficult for them because in their area, they never had good education at all. Even to communicate in English language was so tough for them. But we both agreed that we have to do something. And we taught them what is called determination. And they picked it up, and we started teaching them, bringing volunteers here and there to come and teach them. And, the children picked up. And I was so amazed how brilliant they were, and I discovered that if you give every same opportunity to everybody, everywhere, you get the same result. And they were so encouraging to us. But it was difficult to feed them, to clothe them, school materials, writing materials. These were challenges. And as time was going, we started getting threats, everyday threats from so many sources, false publications, people telling all manner of things. And we said, okay, our reply would be, when you are successful, when you become a doctor, when you become a lawyer, then the world will know that we have done the right thing. That was how the children picked up. And today we have over 400 university students, undergraduates in different universities, studying core courses, professional courses. A few months ago, 5 graduated as medical doctors, 4 young boys and 1 girl, and now we have 5 who has just been, become lawyers, 4 young boys and 1 girl. And I tell you, in the next few months, we're going to have over 40 graduates in different fields. So these are the things we are giving to Nigeria, but it has not really been that soft for us. It was very, very, very tough, especially in the area of feeding, having to feed them. At the beginning, at some point, we were getting support, but when people started, reading wrong meanings to what we were doing, they blocked us everywhere, and we got to a point that we felt, were we doing the right thing? Should we give it up? But when you see the smiles in these children's faces and you see their grades that they churn out from their school, you will just say, God, no, you can't stop. You can't stop. And the children were always telling us, please, we will not fail you. We are going to do our best. And today you are seeing the results. So this is how it has been till now.
Yeah, but for Lawrence, I'll stay with you for just a moment before I go to Wakil. This shows, so if there was any doubt to the fact that what you were doing had a clear vision, Wakil and the rest who just graduated and are now lawyers, is the answer to that this is what you meant when you said there's a chance. This is literally a blessing for them and for you as well. What kind of support do you need to replicate what you do?
Yes, what we need support in the area of education. For example, having over 400 children in different universities and more who are like the JAM that was done recently that was very poor. I enrolled 145 children, and 132 among them scored above 200 and above 300. So you see, this one's now going to join over 400 children who are already there. So we have needs for scholarship. Give these children scholarship. Buy books for them, pay for their hostel accommodation. This is just what they need. Give them food. And then the over 4,000 who are in our center and those in the different communities around us, provide food for them. Then give them just give them means for daily living, like skill acquisition, technical training, clothes, sanitary pad for the guests, These are just the daily things they need, and just provide some kind of light for them to be able to read, because it's difficult to buy fuel. And so, like when the deputy governor of Edo State brought some solar street lights into our center, if you come there in the night, you love these children. You see them sit under this light, reading day and night. So these are just the things they need. Things to make them succeed in their education, and food to eat. And then where they sleep, we use the wood to build the houses. Now the wood are getting bad, so rains are coming into their houses again. Just minimal things like that, just to make them dream. Right. So these are the things they need to succeed. And they are very determined, I tell you, they are determined. It's inspiring. They are determined. They always tell me every day.
Right. That they have. What do they tell you every day?
Sorry?
Yeah, you can land on that. What do they tell you every day?
Oh, every day they tell me, sir, we want to become doctors, we want to become senators, we want to become engineers, we want to become... You see, They said they have forgiven all the persons that made them run from their communities because they have discovered that it actually worked for their good. And they tell me, look, if we had not left our community, we would have no dream. We don't even know that we can become doctors. We thought we are not brilliant. Okay. We don't know that we can become lawyers. We don't know that we can become engineers.
I don't
so this is what they tell me every day.
And that's beautiful. I don't think we can ever thank you and partners, the people who have supported them enough for taking this upon yourself. But I want to say and ask and request that others please come closer to you, because I know it's not just Saminu that's been called to bar. There's Rifkatu Ali that was also called to bar. It's a whole team, I must say. There's Nathan Ibrahim, David Ayuba, Peter, Isaac. So if all of them can just come closer, we can see some of them on the screen, but if I know they're in the studio, so let's come together and prepare so the world can indeed see what is happening, how you're able to transform internally displaced persons into the laws, as we call them. So please
Esquires.
Esquires, right? So please come together so we can show the world this beautiful picture.
I think these are the pictures from the ceremony. Ceremony that took place yesterday.
And you know, we must commend the efforts of
looks like a group photograph.
I
must thought it was
Solomon, founder of ICCF Missions, and their partners for doing this. As Kaudi said, we cannot really thank the missions enough, and it shows that indeed there are many Nigerians out there with a large heart who are magnanimous and you know, come through for others, and you know, we call for all the support that they require in the world. Pastor Folorunsho has articulated the support that they need to continue to encourage you know, their partners
so
to ensure that they get good education.
Just to be clear, what we're seeing right now are the 5 former IDPs who have been called to bar. And I'll do a roll call. If I call your name, say present. Okay? So, David Ayuba.
Just raise your hand.
Help me tap David Ayuba. Thank you. Peter Isaac. Thank you. Rifkatu Ali. Thank you. Saminu. Of course, we know Saminu already, but just raise your hand again. And of course, Nathan Ibrahim. Please raise your hand. And we just want to say, amazing. Thank you for inspiring us. I want to ask you, Saminu, seeing the injustice that's been done to you by the society, how is that driving you in your quest for justice now? How will that make you a different lawyer in that sense, in the search for justice for others as we wind down?
Yes, having seen this and having gone through the pen of injustice, I have been equipped so far to be a lawyer who upheld the ethics of the legal profession, to be able to be a different lawyer. For instance, we are privileged to have a coordinator who believe in the values that uphold justice, values that uphold justice. And he does everything to ensure that we imbibe such culture, such values, so that in all we do, we maintain and stand for the truth and be a voice of the truth. And that is what justice needs to be what it is, the truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the cases you will be winning. You know, there will be some losses, let's also say that. It's a win and lose situation. We hope more wins for all of you. Sami Wakil Vacha, Rifatu, Ali, Nathan, Ibrahim, Peter Mazagweta, Isaac, David Ayuba, and Pastor Folorunsho, thank you. Pastor Folorunsho, thank you for your service. We hope that with this, everybody who intends to support you one way or the other will now reach out to you to say, we see what you're doing and we'll do this, that, and the other. So thank you for your service. And lawyers,
thank you so much.
Go do the work. It's now work time. We'll see you at work.
Yes.
We'll take a break. I love this story. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. Great way. But we're not done yet. In just a moment, we'll be right back.
so I'm trying very, very hard right now not to feel conscious of my total look from head to toe, because we've got the International Fashion Police in the house. Here's one of your favorite content creators, Kenzie Udose. Kenzie, good morning. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Idigo Keyade, you go.
What is that?
Thank you for having me. Idigo Keyade translates is even for, you look, it's giving what it should give,
okay,
what it can give.
So there are no question marks anywhere? Nothing with Kayode?
You had better not give us question marks, so we're going to detain you.
Where's the tie and everything? I guess it's a uniform thing for today.
We're going to detain you.
Detain me where?
Be careful what you say. Police have get police. It's good to have you. Right?
Thank you so much, Kathy. Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome. It's good to have you. So, this is Kenzie Udose, but
right,
we see a different character entirely in your content. Witty Igbo woman who is criticizing what celebrities are wearing
right
to the events, and it's so, hilarious and compelling to watch all at once. How did you carve that niche, or how did you create that character? What did you see in your growing up?
Oh, my world. Well, growing up, it's the first time I'm telling the story. Growing up, I lost my father early, and so I was surrounded by a lot of women. I'm just the only guy amongst my 4 sisters. And so there was my mom, there was my auntie, there was just a lot of women growing up. And so influences like that, you pick up a thing or two or more, a lot, And so when it came down to creating like a career path, it was presenting at the time when I was in school, but that wasn't very yielding at the time. And so there was this
like
big
lucrative
boom. No, like I couldn't see the path.
Oh, I see.
At the time. And so there was this big boom on social media. I think it was Chris Clown, Maraji, they were doing stuff on social media, Josh Too Funny, with his singing at the time. And I thought, okay, why not, get into this? And the character, Madame Teresa, came to be. I started as an opera singer. I was trying to mimic what Josh Too Funny was doing. I was hugely inspired by Josh Too Funny. But that didn't quite, fly. So I started doing some sort of what I called Ndomodo series, where I sit down and talk to people about, day-to-day activities, do what you have to do this, do that, don't do that. And so that's how the character came to be. As for the fashion reviews I just started this year, there was some sort of like introspection where I felt like, I wasn't doing as much as I should have been doing. And so I left Lagos, I went to Waziri, because I feel sometimes Lagos can be very chaotic. And so I went to Waziri just to spend some time, reconnect with the Igbo, roots that I had that pretty much inspired my entire content. And Priscilla Ojo's wedding came. I wasn't creating any content at the time. I wasn't inspired by anything. I was like, why not just rate people's fashion, but what's the angle? You're not really into fashion, what do you know? Okay, so come from this angle where you're an Igbo mother who's criticizing what people are wearing, so just make it fun, make it snappy, that's what birthed the whole review thing that's trending now, yeah, so.
And so, before we begin to talk about the language medium, I don't understand Igbo, from A to Z, but I can just sit down and binge on it because it's so interesting to watch. But do you get any backlash or responses from feedback sort of from celebrities that you criticize?
Well, that's the thing, it's dicey waters, right? And I thought of it before I started. It was a very big deal because you meet these people every day, you go for events, you see them, and so if you criticize their looks and they see you, it's going to be like, okay, you would have said that thing about my look, so you go. But it's been received very with open arms and quite beautifully, in the sense that they understand the angle. I hope, and I've seen with some of the people I've met physically after the videos I've made of them. So yes, they understand the angle that it's not from a place of, I know fashion and what you're wearing is tacky. It's from a place of, okay, that mother is not pleased, so yeah.
Is it helping them to change or adjust or terrified? What are you doing to them?
Well, I think when it started, it was frivolous. It was, but now I think there's a bit of awareness, so to speak, about decency when it comes to the way people dress. Yeah.
Ah, interesting. I wish you all the best.
Really, your crisis mode.
I know.
Because you see the trend these days, and it looks like things have been turned on their head, sort of, and it's almost like normal, and it reminds you of the normal construct. And normal is not really a function of what makes sense. It's a function of what most people do.
Right.
And that's why there's a normal curve. So if a lot of people are doing a certain thing, it becomes normal.
Exactly.
Not that it makes sense. But a lot of people have watched you, and that's how, in fact, you talk about Josh Tiffany. You tried to mimic what he was doing, then you found your own niche. But for a lot of younger content creators, they're watching you, they're watching others, and they seem to be putting up this formula that if you want to blow quick, you have to have a feminine character in that sense. And we can give a lot of examples from time immemorial, or how did they say that thing?
Yeah.
Immemorial, that's the right word. But the point is, why did you choose a feminine character? I imagine you get a lot of backlash from time to time. How do you handle that? And how do you try to separate the character from the person so that, again, it doesn't sort of instill that mindset that, oh, I have to be out of touch with my own masculinity as a boy or as a man to create content and get views, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, growing up, there was a lot of influences, you know, of women in my life, and it's hard not to pick up a thing or two. And when I started, it was a thing of make it specific that there is Kenzie and there's Madam Teresa. But along the line, you begin to realize that, oh, okay, it's who you are, right? As much as it's a character on social media, it's a projection of something that's in you. And so I try not to define that, answering the last question. I try not to define that, especially these days, because the more I try, the harder it is. So there's just me, there's that talent, and I can do all these things, right? For content creators who are just starting, and sorry, I lost the first question.
People who are watching, and I think the roots to fame is to have a female character.
Well, I don't know about them, but as for me, like I said, it's just always been there. And while I don't judge anyone or say, oh, you know, don't do this or don't do that, there's a certain, like you said, trend where people feel like you must do it. And then they do it in a way that it's just very caricature. And so I try to respect the gender that I'm trying to mimic while doing my work, which I find is very, very necessary because I have a lot of women as my fans, and they will not be there if I disrespect the very thing that they are, the very person or people that they are. And so it's very important to respect that gender and to treat the mimicry in such a way that they watch it and they see themselves without feeling what is going on, you know. So that's what I try to do. The second question, yes, backlash. How do I handle that? What kind of person do them block? You know, just block. It is what it is.
Give them a block. By hand over.
You know, we live in a country where it is what it is, and people don't understand entertainment, and you can't educate.
So,
you know?
as we're going to wind down, what path has this created for you? Because that's quite critical. Right. Some people are all over the place, but not visible enough to build a specific brand that gives them an equity in the room, which is always a missing part. So we have a lot of noise, and yet substance is missing. But I like the way you articulate who you are, and I think it's relatable. So how do you do it such that, you know, when you do your thing, you get the kind of visibility that wants to take you to the path you wanted to go? Are you on the path? I think that's a question I want to get.
Right. I like that question because I referred to, you know, not seeing a path. Yes, I am on the path. I'm on Channels TV. I'm on Channels TV. Super excited about that, by the way. But yeah, so how do I do that? Is there an intentional way? Of course there is an intentional way. Like I said, it's about understanding the very content I'm creating and making sure that it's not disrespectful, especially in modern times where there's a lot of lines not to be crossed, you know. So it's understanding that and making sure that I'm creating relatable content while still being respectful. Now, being all over the place, I see a lot of people create content, wear women's clothes, and it's for lack of a better word, tacky. But it is what it is in the sense that when creating my content, I make sure that I'm very, very, like you said, the word, articulate. And so before the fashion reviews, there was the teaching people how to pronounce certain words. And so I find that brands, as well as the general public, like that kind of stuff. And it's very important to know exactly what you want to be for people, and it's always been a certain level of education for me. Madam Teresa has always been that woman that educates.
So
She's always
your bank
saying
account
something,
is smiling.
correcting something. Say that again.
So your bank account is smiling.
Of course it is, honey.
He has to, by the way, do the fashion police for us.
I mean, of course I will. Yeah, you know, we'll get to that because I see a lot of.
Let's do that right away.
Nice.
But just know that freedom before speech is guaranteed, but freedom after speech.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Okay.
I wish.
That's it, kind of.
First of all, three of you who can speak Igbo, understand Igbo?
None.
How do I do this?
No, do it for the audience. It's for the audience.
Okay, let's go. Tie. Okay, you need to go knock here. Where's the tie and all? You know, the pocket thing is doing what it should do, I suppose. The jacket, the long jacket, you know, fancy. You know, the brogues and all the good knock here. I'll give you a...
Freedom after speech.
I'll give you a 7 because, you know, it's typical.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. Oh, Bukola, okay. Oh, stunning, absolutely divine. You know, I like what the jacket is doing. Absolutely gorgeous. You know, very, look like a blended with the background, but you know. Looks chic, you know, why you gold? Where did you buy the gold? Ikorodu?
Well, you're right.
Oh, you go!
I like that. Way to go.
Well, stunning. The hair very well put together. Love the pants, love the shoes, wearing heels. You go. Stunning. I'll give you a 9.
Oh,
stunning.
You gave her a 9. You see, look.
I mean, because you're wearing navy.
Ikorodu got you the 9. Pick up secret.
Mr. Jeffrey, is that correct? Absolutely. Okay.
This look like it.
Well, I like what he's doing. It's navy as well. You know, is that navy? Yeah, that's navy. You know, what is the point? Uniform?
No, not exactly. It's conscious.
Okay, you go. Love what the pocket pillar's doing. You know, the red to break up the whole thing going on. It's gonna okay, the color of the socks. I'll give you. I'll give you a 7 as well.
Man is biased. Sharp guy, politician.
Yeah, politician.
He's a smart guy.
Oh,
Thank you so much. We could just go on and enjoy. You know, I think just doing it right here just says you're natural.
Yeah.
He's our tech bro, by the way. He does a lot of content, and I realize that relatability is key. I think we can relate to what you're doing, and we wish you the very best. Thank you so much, Bukola.
We should rate him.
Please. Please.
No.
I've learned one Igbo phrase from you. I think your shoes are doing it for me.
Oh, thank you very much.
I wouldn't really like the chain, by the way, but
where'd you get
the
it
jury
from?
is going to meet the character. We'll give you a 9.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, let's close the show. I'm going to do your choreography after the show.
Content creator, international fashion police, and of course, by the way, you're getting your way into Nollywood with what you're doing.
Yes.
So we can also call you Nollywood Potential. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very much.
We had great
fun.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that's it on the program. Thank you for your time and, of course, your usual company. Sunrise Daily is up next at the top of the hour. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye.
I am Bukola Cook. I will be back again next week.
I think I'll give the Sunrise Daily team a 7.5 over 10. So find out what they're wearing.
No, they have to be 6.
I'm karaoke.
Looking for trouble for the weekend.